What's up, beautiful people, and welcome back to Modality Monday. Thank you for tapping in. You know how we're gonna get started. Salud, cheers to your love, cheers to your health, and cheers to your wealth. I just want to start off by saying it is such a blessing and a privilege to be able to share these messages with everybody that taps in, everybody that shows love. I appreciate you guys so much. It's taken a lot of work to be able to get to this point of just being myself and being able to share messages with people and sharing my insights and experience. So thank you guys so much for the constant love and the constant feedback. So we're gonna dive into it. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna dive deep into it. Today's Modality Monday is on shadow work. Shadow work. The shadow work that we always hear about, the shadow work that we're told we need to do, the shadow work that we run from because we're so scared and so fearful sometimes to sit with the deepest, darkest parts of ourselves. But guess what? Without darkness, there can be no light. You find the light in the darkness. And that's the beautiful part. That's the paradox. That is the magic of life, right? So, what is shadow work? Or you know what? Let's start off with what is your shadow? What is the shadow? The shadow is the negative aspects of yourself. The shadow is the traumas, the negative thinking, the triggers, the wounds that emerge if you are not aware of them and if you do not do the work to send love and integrate your shadows. So in the conscious spiritual community, we hear about the shadow all the time and how we need to sit with it. And I feel like a lot of people fail to really do that work. I see a lot of people actually run to escapism. And a lot of people, I mean, you can sit with all the medicines you want. You can do all the ayahuasca, you can do all the mushrooms, you can do all the rapé, you can have all the sage that you want. But until you really decide to sit with yourself and do the shadow work that is actually involved and needed in your level ups, in your upgrades, in your healthy connections with yourself and people, you are going to stay stuck in cycles, repeated patterns, unhealthy relationships. You're going to continue to self-sabotage yourself. You're going to continue to work for jobs that you don't like. You're going to continue to fail to really create the life of abundance that you truly want. Because to achieve all these things in true self-love, you have to know the things that hinder you. You have to know and realize the things that hold you back. So, why is it important to do shadow work? Why do we sometimes self-sabotage ourselves? So, our negative aspects, our shadow, again, stem from our thinking, which results from the way we were raised, right? So maybe some of us have experienced child abuse when we were younger, sexual abuse when we were younger. Maybe you were neglected when you were younger. Maybe you have fears of abandonment. Maybe you feel like you're not worthy or you were never heard. So what happens when you go along through your journey? Without failing to work and shed the love on these things that may have happened to you, you go forward going into relationships that you maybe have codependency issues, right? From the child abuse, the sexual abuse, or being abandoned when you're younger. So your codependency causes you to attach to unhealthy partners, and then you're trying to figure out why do I keep finding myself with these unhealthy partners, and I keep going through these things. Some people may experience abuse in their relationships because they're used to the abuse. It's comfortable to them from the abuse that they suffered when they were a child, right? Some people don't allow themselves to fully voice the things inside of them because when they were younger, they were told to shut up. They were told, hey, you don't express your emotions. Hey, it's not okay for you to, stand up for yourself, right? So then going forward as an adult, maybe you're scared to speak up. Maybe you're scared to voice your boundaries. You're scared to voice, what you want and what you don't want because of things that you suffered. That is the shadow. That's your shadow, right? Maybe you're finding yourself self-isolating yourself. When you should be going out connecting with people, you stay stuck in your room and your excuse is, oh, I'm a lone wolf. I don't really want to be around these people. No, you're self-isolating yourself because you're scared of connection. Because when you were younger, you were told that, hey, you're not good enough to do these things. You're not good enough to uprise. You're not good enough to be the best version of yourself. So what do? You self-isolate because that's comfortable. And actually, you're missing out on so many beautiful connections with people. You're missing out on beautiful connections to be able to upgrade your life, right? So when does your shadow usually come out? Your shadow emerges when you're triggered. Maybe you're talking to a potential partner, or like you're in an intimate setting, and I'm going to use this example as a man. Maybe a woman says something that triggers you, and you snap, you go off, and then after the fact you're like, dang, I didn't need to do all that, and you're like, dang, why did I do that? You asking yourself why begins to unravel the healing that is needed. Asking yourself, why did I do that? And your shadow comes out a lot of times when you're most vulnerable. Say you just got out of a relationship, and you're hurt, and you just don't want to be around anybody. You don't want to be involved with anybody, right? Either lashing out, losing your center, the urge to drink, smoke, the urge to have obsessive sex to numb the pain, and you're not really numbing the pain. You're feeding your shadow to keep hurting you and to keep blocking you off from the joys that you deserve here as a human being. Okay? And so now that we've talked about the shadow, what the shadow looks like, we can talk about how to do the shadow work, what the shadow work actually looks like. And the shadow work looks like journaling. Start asking, well, first off, before you even start journaling, you have to know what to journal. So the things that I had said before about like the self-sabotage, the isolating, the depression, asking yourself first, why am I even being triggered by anybody in the first place? Nobody can trigger you unless you allow yourself to be triggered. So why am I being triggered? Why am I self-sabotaging? Why am I isolating myself? Really asking yourself why, and sitting with yourself for a little bit so you can get the answers to why. Okay, why am I scared to be in an intimate relationship? Dang, because I lacked intimacy with my mother. Why do I not trust men as a woman? Because my father was not in my life, so now I have daddy issues. So once you start pulling out the whys, you can start journaling. You can start writing down. You don't even have to like full journal. Maybe just bullet point the reasons why you feel these ways. Why did I feel suicidal? Dang, because I lacked my self-love because of the situations and the things that I went through when I was younger. This is real shadow work. This is getting uncomfortable. And as you start asking yourself why, as you start meditating, as you start journaling, as you start you don't even have to journal, just talk yourself through the whys, all these emotions, all these feelings are going to start coming up, right? And then sometimes the shadow work, you might even sit and start crying. Cry all these fears out, cry all these emotions out, right? And the reason shadow work is important because going forward in these situations where you would self-sabotage yourself, where you would hurt yourself, where you would disconnect from people, you start developing a game plan. You just start developing the know-how of stopping hurting yourself, right? It's like for war, right? If I'm going into war, right, as a Marine or an army man, I have put in work. I have put in training so that when I go on the battlefield, I know what looks like. I know when an RPG is getting set up. I know where different sniper channels could be, right? So if I know these things, guess what? I'm gonna maneuver around them to make sure I don't get killed, right? Same thing for sports. As an athlete myself, I trained so that when I'm out on the football field, when I'm on the lacrosse field, I know how to score touchdowns. I know how to get interceptions. I know how to be the best version of myself. This translates over to the shadow work. When I sit and I ask myself, why do I get triggered? Why do I self-sabotage? Why do I always constantly feel the need to beat myself up? Dang, it's because of all these things that I went through. And guess what? When you sit and develop a game plan on how to stop doing these things, when you're in certain situations, when someone says something that might have triggered you in the past, you can just like laugh through it or just stay in your center and cool and give yourself give yourself time to like breathe and take a second to respond or not respond. And the more you do the shadow work, the more growth you're gonna have. And that is the beautiful part. Man, so I just wanted to share on my idea, my view of what shadow work and what it is and how to integrate your shadow so that you can be your own best friend. Even your ego is part of the shadow. I'm gonna make a video on your ego as well, but a lot of people talk about getting rid of your ego. Your ego is part of you. You should be able to use your ego to get into the doors that your true self is gonna keep you in. And I'll further discuss that in my next Modality Monday. So I just wanted to talk and touch on shadow work, what it is, how to do it, what it looks like, because we all deserve love, we all deserve peace, we all deserve understanding of ourselves and how this life works, and it's all there for you. So like I always say, you can either have your dreams and live your dreams, and one of the biggest ways to live your dreams is to do the shadow work so you don't self-sabotage, so you don't hurt yourself, so you don't hurt others, so you can live in abundance and have an abundance mindset. So thank you guys all for tuning in. I really hope this video resonates with whoever. I hope this message hit whoever it's meant for. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out, feel free to tap in, and I would love to connect. Peace.